So just a quick overview of the features that make up PlayIt Live. You've got tracks, track groups, playout policies, the playout pattern, clocks, and the playout log. So tracks are stored as references to audio files on your computer. When you add tracks to PlayIt Live, it will read the metadata from the audio file to work out the artist and the title and other information such as the year and the genre. If you don't have any metadata in the file, it will work out the artist and title from the file name. So the file name might be artist-title, and then it would work out which one was the artist and which one was the title. Cue points can also be set on tracks to ensure that any silence is removed from the start and end of the tracks. And you can also set an intro point to indicate to the presenter or DJ when the vocals start on the track, so they can talk up to the vocals. Track groups are sets of tracks stored by PlayIt Live. Tracks can appear in multiple track groups. Track groups can be used to categorize tracks in playlists such as A-list or B-list tracks, or genres such as rock, pop, or 80s. There are 3 different types of track groups: listed track groups, filtered track groups, and grouped track groups. Listed track groups allow you to manually select tracks you wish to appear in that track group. This would typically be used to select a set of tracks that are commonly used by your station, such as playlists. Filtered track groups allow you to define a filter based on the attributes of a track, which will dynamically select tracks to appear in that group. This is by far the most powerful type of track group, allowing you to create the track group once and simply change the attributes of tracks to automatically update that track group. An example here would be the rock track group. Here you would define a filtered track group, which is simply genre equals rock, and this would automatically select tracks in PlayIt Live that had the genre rock. And group track groups allow you to combine multiple track groups. For example, if you have 3 track groups, A-list, B-list, and C-list, you could create a track group called all playlists and select A-list, B-list, and C-list and group them together. Track groups are used for scheduling tracks via the playout pattern or clocks, more about that in a minute, and also used for filtering tracks from the main interface. Playout policies are sets of rules that help prevent tracks from playing too frequently. For example, you may want to ensure that a track is not played more than once in a 3-hour time frame. You may also want to ensure that the same artist is not played more than once an hour. You can apply these policies to specific track groups. So for example, you may not care that the same jingle track is played more than once per hour, but it's important that a song is not played too frequently because of licensing rules in your particular area that may prevent you from doing that. The playout pattern is the most basic way for the scheduler to select tracks. If you don't have any clocks or you don't have any scheduled for a particular hour, the playout pattern will be used to schedule tracks. The playout pattern is essentially a rotating set of track groups. So in this example, we've got the playout pattern: A-list, jingle, B-list, jingle, C-list, jingle. And if the scheduler is applying this playout pattern to the playout log for a particular hour, you will pick the first item from the playout pattern, which is A-list, and pick a track at random from A-list and apply that to the playout log. It'll then move on to the next item in the playout pattern and apply that to the playout log. We'll then go to B-list and apply that to the playout log, and it'll play the jingle to the playout log again. And it will iterate through each of these until the hour is full. So that's the simplest way of setting up a schedule for your hour-to-hour playout. But if you want something more advanced, there are clocks. So clocks give you greater control over what tracks are played and when, A clock is essentially a template for an hour's worth of content. Each clock contains clock items which are used to generate content for the Playout log. Clocks are assigned to particular hours in time, and these assignments are used to generate the correct content at the correct time for the Playout log. There are 4 different types of clock items: track, track group, break note, and fixed time marker. So a track clock item will generate a specific track in the Playout log in the same position at the specified hour. A track group clock item will cause the scheduler to pick a random track from the selected track group that does not violate any of the existing Playout policies. You should ensure that your Playout policies are not too restrictive, as this will cause the scheduler to be unable to pick any tracks for that track group. A breaknote clock item will make the scheduler generate a breaknote Playout log item. A breaknote is a specific duration of silence with a note attached. It can be used to insert silence for 2 minutes of news, for example, or simply indicate to the presenter to promote a competition. And the final clock item is the fixed time marker. So fixed time markers are used to keep time in the log. They help items play at roughly the time that you specify. So there are 3 different types of fixed time marker: hard, soft, and not before. So a hard fixed time marker will cause any Playout before it to immediately fade out and play the next track at the specific time. A soft fixed time marker will cause the currently playing item to finish playing as normal before playing the next track after the specified time. Any tracks before the soft fixed time marker will not play and will be skipped. A not before fixed time marker will ensure that the succeeding track is not played until after the specified time on the marker. So if that's not confusing enough to say, here's a visual. So if you've got 6 tracks playing between 9 minutes and 23 minutes past your hour, and then you want to insert a fixed time marker before the track that's playing at 20 minutes past. If you were doing this with a hard fixed time marker, what would actually happen at 15 minutes past the hour is that it would drop the rest of the track and not play the following track at all. So at 15 minutes past the hour, the track number 5 will play, and track number 4 will not be played at all. For a soft fixed time marker, the track that was playing at quarter past the hour will finish playing, it will drop the next track, and it will play track 5 at 16 minutes and 30 seconds past the hour. For a not before fixed time marker, this essentially has no effect when your log is full. But if your log isn't full and there's actually a gap in your log, the track playing at 15 minutes past the hour won't play until after 15 minutes past the hour, so you'll be forced to fill this gap in the log. So here's an example of a clock. Now clocks are quite long in comparison to Playout patterns, so this is a full clock for an hour. So what's actually happening here is at the top of the hour, we're playing the top of the hour track, which is about 10 seconds long. This is followed by a pop track, a jingles track, a rock track, jingles pop, jingles rock, jingles. And at quarter past the hour, there's a fixed time marker to ensure that our promos are played at roughly quarter past the hour. So this works similarly to the way the Playout pattern works. I'll demonstrate this for you now. So we'll start off with the track at the top of the hour. So we'll insert that into our log at, in this example, 2 o'clock. And we'll run through the clock items, generating a track from my track group for the pop, jingles, rock, jingles, etc. So my next item to be inserted is the jingles item, but actually this item is going to be dropped because my fixed time marker is at quarter past the hour and it's after quarter past the hour, so it's going to be dropped completely. We'll continue to fill down the log until we get to the half past the hour fixed time marker. Now our problem here is that our current time is 28 minutes past the hour and 50 seconds. Now, because our fixed time marker is actually at 30 minutes past the hour, we don't have an item to fill in here. It's too early. So we go back to our playout pattern, which is simply songs, and we insert an item into the log. So basically, your playout pattern is your backup. And then we fill out the rest of the log with our fixed time marker and all the other items. So as you can see, a few tracks were also skipped here because of the fixed time marker. It's usually best to overschedule your content to ensure there are no gaps in your log, and that way you don't have to fall back to the playout pattern. But if you need to, it's there. And finally, the playout log. We've been talking about it for the past couple of minutes, but our playout log is generated from our playout pattern and our schedule clocks, but you can manually change the playout log to fine-tune your content. The playout log is generated either from the Manage Playout Log section in PlayIt Live, or if your playout is playing in semi-automatic or automatic mode, it will generate on the fly. Right, so let's show you how this all fits together in PlayIt Live. So we've got PlayIt Live open here. This is a blank version of PlayIt Live. I've just added some songs. I just need to add some jingles. So let's go first of all to Manage and Tracks. So you can see all my tracks here. If I go to Add New and select from a folder, so I can choose my music folder here and choose Jingles and click OK. And allow it to analyze those jingles for setting those cue points. So I've analysed those tracks now. I can inspect these and have a look and have a listen if I wish. I can click on Next. Now I already have a Jingles track group, so I can add these tracks to my Jingles track group and click on Finish. And I can view my Jingles track group and check those tracks are in there. So next thing I want to do is have a look at creating some track groups. Now if I go to Manage and go to Track Groups, you can see I already have some track groups here. So I've got the Jingles one that I've just created that has 19 tracks in it. I've got a filtered track group for pop and a filtered track group for rock. So if I have a look at my pop track group, this is genre contains pop. So this means it will find any track group that has the genre with pop inside it. So it could be rock and pop, pop rock, rock pop, etc. So something that has pop in it. So I have some of those set with those attributes of pop in the genre. Rock is similar, exactly the same, contains rock. As I say, multiple tracks can appear in multiple track groups. So unlike other systems where you're restricted to only having one category for a track, you can share as much as you wish. I have a few other listed track groups here for promos, which list out all these nicely blended promos. Thank you very much. I'll show you grouped track groups. So if I go to groups and I want to just select my jingles and promos, I can just select jingles, promos and call this jingles and promos and hit OK. This will create a combined track group with 35 tracks in it. The next thing we want to look at is the playout policy. So our playout policy is where we restrict artists and tracks from being played not too frequently. So by default, tracks will play as much as they like, but I want to restrict my tracks from not being played more than 3 hours together, and I want to ensure that my artists aren't played for at least 1 hour. So if I've got Michael Jackson playing 1 hour, he won't play again later on that hour, and you have to wait until the next hour. We can apply this to only certain types of track groups, so I'm going to do that as well. So I want to apply this to the songs track group. So this is songs policy. Give it a name so that you can understand what it is. And there it is. and we click OK. So that will be applied to all songs when we're scheduling any track group that actually contains that song as well. Having a look at my playout pattern, by default this is all tracks, which may give you some bizarre outputs if you have lots of jingles and promos and adverts and top of the hour jingles. So probably best to change this to something more sensible, so I can choose songs. My backup is songs if the scheduler can't find anything else to play. So I'll click OK on that one, go back to my managed, and let's look at some clocks. So here's a clock I created earlier. Let's have a look at this. So I'm starting the hour with a hard fixed time marker, and this will ensure that my top of the hour is played exactly the top of the hour as the name would imply. And then I'm switching my track groups. So I'm doing track group pop, jingles, rock, jingles, as you saw in the presentation. And we go through to the end of the hour where we're slightly overrunning with a rock track. I'll show you how to create one of these from scratch. So let's do that now. So if I go to add new, it looks like this. So this is my clock. I want to start the hour with a fixed time marker, so I want to choose my fixed time marker, and it already defaults to 00 and hard. So we'll leave it at that. I want to add, click on add, and go to type, and I want to choose my track group. Nope. I want to choose my track, and I want to choose my top of the hour, which is 10 seconds long. And click plus. So our now estimated time is 10 seconds past the hour, and I choose my track group, and I want to play my pop. Now to help you out here, rather than having to keep selecting track group, you can press Ctrl D, which will duplicate that particular row. So now we have another track group with pop. I can change that to jingles, and I'll change this one to rock, and I'll change this one to jingles. And we'll carry on through these. And we want to now insert a fixed time marker for quarter past the hour. So I'll choose my fixed time marker, and I'll choose 15 and soft this time, and click OK. And we'll carry on through these until you've got a clock that looks like the one I created earlier. So we've created our clock. If I go to manage now, I want to schedule that clock. So here is my empty schedule. Here is the current time and day. If you want to schedule in a particular slot, just click in the slot. I'll select my clock I created earlier. So this will schedule the time to being between 1600 and 1700. So I want to repeat this every hour of every day. If you wanted to do something slightly different, you could select this to repeat only weekly, and you can select it to repeat only on Sundays. So if you had a show that was playing on Sundays and you wanted a particular theme, you could repeat this every week on a Sunday and the same clock would be used. So in fact we'll do that today. So you can see if as I move through the week, you can have a different slot in a Sunday. It's actually getting to the end of this hour, so I will also do the next hour. So I can choose 1700, repeat this weekly, every 1 week this is, on a Sunday at this time, and that will do the 1700 hour as well. So if I click OK, we're nearly done. We just now need to schedule the log. So we'll come in here and we'll schedule the hour for the next hour, which is 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And all we got to do is select the time range for these two times and click schedule. So this will automatically generate the log for this particular hour. So you can see it started with the hard fixed time marker that we set up in the clock. It's going to choose the top of the hour track and insert some pop and rock tracks in between the hours. You can see here this has picked a track from the Playout pattern, which is songs, and we've gone to the soft fixed time marker, which is ensured that the promo is played after 1500 and will ensure that any preceding tracks that have gone well past 1500 won't be played. So if we click OK, we'll see that we've started into the 5 o'clock hour already. So we'll start off with the top of the hour, and then we'll play into the 2 play and the jingles, Actually, we won't play the top of the R because it's gone past the top of the R, but let's start with 2play and see what that sounds like. So that's your playback for the scheduled R.